this is a guy who, from what I saw, and I saw some people who are like-minded saying that he had no legal disqualifications from obtaining his weapon. That's not true. He did. He was actually a prohibited possessor. Welcome back to the program. Top of our second hour. Dana Loesch here with you. You can listen from sea to shining sea. You can also watch the radio program, the simulcast, available on Facebook, YouTube, where you can also join the discussion, live happening now, and Channel 349 DirecTV. This murderer, I'm not going to get into everything I'm not going to name him, and I don't want to post what he put online. I just don't see how anyone sane posts the stuff that he posts online. He was obsessed with violence, and he always was talking about satanic stuff, and it was just wild. He comes across like, you remember that horror movie Carrie? Like Carrie's mom. He comes across like that. He apparently, I think the thing that sent him over the edge, according to people who knew him, because they're trying to figure out what the motive could be. His father said that his mom had passed away, and after his mom passed away, he got bitter, and that apparently was the catalyst for this. And they said that apparently it all happened pretty quickly. He was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He had a note in his pocket indicating a threat to 2 public schools that were closed for the day out of abundance of caution. And, I mean, it's horrific that this has even happened, because 8 people were shot, 3 fatalities, 5 others are in critical condition. 4 were brought to Sparrow Hospital in Lansing and required surgery. All of them were students at MSU. And he had no affiliation to the school. He wasn't a student. He wasn't a member of staff or a faculty member. None of those things. And definitely they have questions. Students were told to run, hide, and fight. And it took them some time to get this guy in custody. Well, they were looking to put him in custody, but now the MSU Deputy Police Chief, Chris Rosman, was saying that he was very straightforward about it. He moved to a couple of different buildings. And he took his own life after he was confronted by an officer. 43 years old. I mean, he didn't even not only was he not a student, faculty, or staff member, but Rosman said that he had no affiliation with anybody. They're trying to figure out, and through their investigation, why in the world, how he targeted an MSU. And I know there's a lot of you guys know I don't deal with speculation, especially on stuff like this. And there have been a number of elected officials who have already weighed in. You have the same ghouls who get involved time after time. They try to fundraise off of it and all this other stuff. And it's sad that this happens. Because I think you need to know, you have to know more about him. This guy was a convicted felon. And I had a friend who was saying that there was nothing that legally disqualified him. That's not true. My friend is incorrect. When your penalty is a year or more in jail, even if you get probation, you are, by standard definition of law, you're considered a prohibited possessor until that time your record's expunged, etc., or your conviction overturned. The record that he had, he was arrested in the past he's got a record, like I said. He had a weapons history, and that's from local Detroit news. He had a history. He was sentenced to 18 months in state prison back in November of 2019. He was convicted of possessing a loaded firearm in a vehicle. He was released from supervision. So he's a convicted felon who ignored the law. He was in illegal possession of a pistol. And he was a complete prohibited possessor. He was not allowed. Was the legal disqualification against him from purchasing a firearm. If you're a felon and you're a prohibited possessor, you touch a gun, that's a crime. These are federal laws. It doesn't matter what this is. This is a federal law. But this is why he's a criminal, because criminals don't honor the law. They don't have honor. And what really gets me, because Michigan has gone incredibly blue as of late, and I'm not saying this to although everybody else has made it political. You cannot ignore from this equation the restorative justice that one particular party pushes constantly. Let's reduce the penalties. Because if we're kinder to the criminal, then maybe they'll think twice about committing crimes. These sorts of thugs, these murderers, these criminals, they thrive on the indulgence of progressive restorative justice. And the response always from the left, the response always, they want to punish the innocents. Politicians repeatedly drop the ball on repeat violent offenders and known threats, and they expect the law-abiding innocents to pay the price with disarmament every single time. There was this one lawmaker. He is House Majority Whip in Michigan, District 24, Representative Ranjiv Puri. He lists his pronouns in his bio so you can tell where this is going. He released a statement on official House of Representatives letterhead saying, blank your thoughts and prayers, except I redacted it because I'll get fined if I relate his message on the airwaves. This lawmaker can put it out on Michigan House of Representatives letterhead, and he can send it out to everybody in his district and everyone across the nation, but I can't relate it to you because I'll get fined if I say the word. It's an F word. He says, blank your thoughts and prayers. And he says in his statement, we don't need to live like this. Really? Yeah, we don't need weak politicians like Ranjiv Puri who drop the ball on repeatedly violent repeat offenders like this murderer. The restorative justice that clowns like Puri and others champion at the expense of innocents put these criminals back on the street. So yeah, blank that and blank you instead. He sits here and says, F your thoughts and prayers. You know what? After you disarm everyone, because you would rather coddle murderers and rapists and thugs, that's all the innocent have left is thoughts and prayers. After you ban the ability for people to defend themselves on campus or anywhere else, that's all people have left are thoughts and prayers. After you vociferously oppose having armed protection of our students in schools, that's all people have left is thoughts and prayers. And now you're saying F that even. I got a couple choice things to say to him. I'm so glad that this guy's not representing my state, my district. He's a clown. These people have they demonstrate more compassion for criminals than they do the innocents. I don't know if you realize, but self-defense is under attack. And it has been for some time. Democrats used to think that it was wrong to shame the victim. But now, if you try to defend yourself, then you apparently deserved to be attacked in the first place. Maybe your skirt was too short. Who knows? Whether it's the Rittenhouse self-defense case or the two folks from my hometown in St. Louis when a bunch of people broke down the fence, and I know that area well. I had a bunch of reporters all across the country sitting here trying to explain to me that no one was trespassing, and they didn't even know the area. They didn't even know that historic neighborhood. They didn't even know that it was all fenced off and considered private property. It was absolutely trespassing, and they were yelling threats at the people living in the house. We covered this. Or the rancher in Arizona on his own land. A repeat offender constantly illegally crossing on his land, apparently bringing cartel members with him. This elderly rancher and his elderly wife are scared for their lives. They live in a rural area. You guys know on average the 911 response time is 20 minutes And that's because it incorporates rural areas like where that Arizona rancher lives. He had every right to fear for his life, but now he's being charged by overzealous DAs. You know, when you criminalize self-defense and you coddle the criminals through restorative justice, all people have left are thoughts and prayers. And now you're mocking that. What a disgusting cretin. This guy's a POS. I don't have anything nice or godly to say about him. It just goes to show you the threshold has been so lowered for political office. At least prostitution's an honest job. But this is the situation that they're dealing with. Nobody should have to be dealing with this. This guy apparently, what gets me is on Facebook, you can post something about your disagreement with coronavirus mandates and have your damn account suspended. This guy can post stuff about fetishizing murder and satanic stuff on his Facebook page, and that's allowed. I'm talking about on private pages, folks. I'm not talking about public pages. There are people on their own private pages who get their accounts suspended if they had disagreed in the past with mandates or they had questions about something. I've seen it. You've seen it. We all know these people. This guy can post this stuff on Facebook and that's left up. None of this is on accident. None of it.